His life that meant the world to you in just a few short minutes. I'm going to do my best, since this is the last thing I can do for him. I hope to shed light on who he was, without boring you to tears and maybe making you laugh a little. Let's go back to July 2nd, 1990. Little did I know it would be the day. At my regular OB doctor visit, they sent me to the hospital. I was in labor, having no pain. We went with no suitcase, no car seat, nothing. We got to the hospital at 5:30. He was born at 8:02. God had given us this tiny, fragile human, perfect. 10 little fingers, 10 little toes, weighing 5 pounds, 13 ounces, and 21.5 inches long. He was a preemie 2 weeks early. He had a crown, birth-shaped mark on his forehead. When he would get angry, it would light up. He had the most beautiful blue eyes. He was our whole world. Maybe at the age of 2, he would go to the grocery store. He wanted to walk. He never met a stranger. He'd extend his hand, and he would say, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Josh." Everyone would ask how old he was, and then would comment how precious. Because he was so little, he was spoiled. One Christmas, Dad and Barbara asked us, "What does Josh want for Christmas?" We told him, the Bumble Ball. It was a shaking ball with little spikes on the outside of it. My dad went to every toy store and Walmart in a 100-mile radius just to get one. He was not going home without it. Winner, winner, chicken dinner, he found one. Josh was so happy to get it. A few weeks later, after Christmas, Jimmy and I kept hearing this bang, 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 bang. We couldn't figure out where it was. We went to his closet, and there he sat with this Bumble Ball hanging out of his mouth, and his head was just banging off the wall. We laughed so hard over that for so many years. During his early life, Josh loved the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Biker Mice from Mars, and he started his own Pokemon collection, which I still have today. It will now be Axton's. When Josh turned 5, and it was time to start school, he stayed with his great-grandparents, Ray and Alma, during the day while Jimmy and I worked. So we enrolled him at Soldier Creek Elementary. And you know, kindergartners have to know their address. Well, he did. When they asked him what his address was, he said 1313 Grand Manor. Well, that day Jimmy and I got a phone call from the principal's office. A few short minutes later, he was kicked out of kindergarten because he didn't live at 9000 Southeast 6th. He would never tell a lie back then. But the one thing I could count on was that Josh was a rock collector. In elementary school, when Jimmy's mom passed away, we had to clear out her house. We found this 35mm film container. And when I found this in her home, it said, "Josh's left front pocket." When I opened it up, there I found the set of pebbles he had collected off the playground. They mean more now than they ever did. Josh came with a very large family, and he loved having 4 sets of grandparents, 4 grandmas, 4 grandpas. Birthdays were bigger, Christmas was bigger, and at that time, the cheering section grew bigger. Josh started wrestling at the age of 5, then came t-ball, then came football. He was a great wrestler, winning many medals and trophies along the way, all the way through high school. In 1999, at the age of 9, he went to the Junior Open Championship for wrestling. He won first place. He won a ring. And his name is in the Hall of Fame at Stillwater as S. Fields because he went by Spike. On the first night of wrestling practice, he was so small, his singlet wouldn't stay on his shoulders. We had to tie it in the back with a shoestring. And on the first night of practice, Coach Bell was demonstrating what he wanted him to do. It was a crab crawl. Well, Josh, being Josh, figured it out. The best way to get from point A to point B was to just get on and ride. Coach laughed, said, "I like it. What's your name?" He said, "I'm Spike." And yes, he had the haircut to match. He loved the sport. It was legalized fighting, and you could only blame yourself for a loss. As Josh got older, he wore a knee pad, and over the years it smelled so bad, he was never allowed to bring that into the house. He wouldn't let me wash it.
He rode in the trunk of the car.
Did ride in the trunk of the car. So we always made him leave it in the garage. He said, "I used to use it as leverage. And if I put it in their face, they would automatically do what I wanted, and almost always would result in a win." We remember the early years with the Holtz family living right across the street. One Halloween, it was sleeting, and it was cold as all get out. Jimmy and Steve got the honors of taking the kids trick-or-treating. While Lori and I stayed home, handed out candy, and stayed warm. When the kids came back with their candy, they were freezing cold. Those are some priceless memories. And they've come all the way from Wisconsin to be here today. Josh was a no-fear kind of kid, and he had a tattoo to prove it. He was afraid of nothing. He didn't always make the best choices in life. I was at home folding clothes, and I could see out the front door when I see Josh trying to climb the basketball pole. I opened the door and I yelled out, "Josh, get down before you get hurt." "Okay, Mom." I continued folding clothes when not even 5 minutes later had passed. Kurt comes banging on my front door with both fists. "Josh is bleeding!" I took off running, ran to the bottom of the street. Josh is motionless in the driveway, face down. As I get to the bottom of the street, he raises his head to look at me, and he's covered in blood. I grabbed him, I took him home, set him on the bathroom counter so I could see where the blood was coming from. He turned to see himself and screamed the loudest scare of a little guy. His lips swelled like little baboons. This was one of our many visits to the ER. Then there was the broken leg on the neighbor's trampoline, another visit to the ER, and a hospital stay. During these younger years, we loved watching WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. He loved Hulk Hogan, Bret Hart, and The Godfather. We watched Cops, and at 7, he would recite, bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?" It was pretty funny to hear a 7-year-old sing that. Some of our favorite memories were in our own backyard. We had a swimming pool, and every summer it was full with sports teams, friends, and neighbors. For 28 years, we've had a pool, but we've decided this will be our last. We had a storm cellar installed, and a year later, the company went out of business. We now know why. After a really wet summer, or spring, the water table rose underground, the cellar imploded on itself, floated out of the ground, and we removed it. We now had a 4-foot perfect circle filled with water, so that's where the kids would swim in the redneck swimming hole. Josh was an outside generation kid. They were always riding their BMX bikes or skateboarding. He was not the kid who loved McDonald's. His favorite was Arby's. Jimmy and I got so sick of Arby's, we told him Arby's burned down. I know it's not good to lie to a kid.
Tired of it.
The next time Grandma Alma and Papa Ray wanted to take him to Arby's, he said, "We can't, it burned down." They blew our cover.
Yeah.
When Josh was like 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade, he always checked out the same book from the library. Either because why bother choosing a book he wasn't going to read? Or really check out the book he did like? Well, when he went to middle school and left the intermediate school, they gave him the book. I still have it. It was Jurassic Park. This one summer we were going to the coast, Port Aransas, with Grandma Barbara and Grandpa Larry. Well, here Josh, the no-fear kid, goes out too far, gets caught in the current, gets sweeping him down the coastline, and we hear him hollering, "Help, help." My dad turned to me and said, "Stay there, don't move." And he took off running. I thank God that day for. I don't think I let Josh go back in the water that day. Then came the constant begging for a brother. He would say, "All my friends have a brother, I want one." So we put in the request, and a few short months later we found out we were pregnant, only to lose him, Colton Riley. We couldn't let the story end there, so another request was added, and we were given Caleb, which meant companion of Joshua. Oh my gosh, when you saw the smile on his face when he met his brother, it melted my heart. He loved you, Caleb, so much. Then came middle school. His room was always messy, till I went in and overhauled it. I even went so far as to remove his bedroom door and take away his privacy. One day he said, "I want to learn to play the guitar." So we bought him one. I think it was a birthday gift. He took lessons, maybe a summer or two. It didn't last long, but I always loved to hear him play House of the Rising Sun. Josh was a kid who didn't care what others thought about him. You either liked him or you didn't. He didn't dress to impress. He didn't care about name brand clothes. But in junior high, he did wear Jinko jeans and DC shoes. He always wore athletic shorts under his jeans, and his socks never matched. He would tell me, "I have another pair just like these." Josh and I shared the same love for the movie Grease. He would call me Mom Swan. Let's watch it, it's on again. One year for Mother's Day, I got the movie with a leather T-bird jacket as the cover. I still have it. So came the day before Meet the Teacher for Caleb. He needed a haircut, and I was out running errands. Josh said, "I can do it." He took Caleb out on the back porch, but before starting, Josh dropped the trimmers. When Josh made the first swipe up the back of his head, he had 3 perfect lines, deep. I was in a panic when I saw it. I called my mom. She fixed it the best she could. Funny story. Caleb had a front row seat that year, Meet the Teacher. Everyone sat behind him. In junior high, Josh had eyes for Cindy Crawford, the model. Those were pipe dreams, son. This is where he met Mackenzie and started dating Mackenzie Harper. Not long later, Josh and Mackenzie were sitting on the couch. Jimmy and I were sitting in the room, and you'd hear ding, ding, ding. Jimmy and I looked at each other and realized they were talking about us on their cell phones. Along this life's journeys, Josh had many friends: Fred and Carl Holtz, Josh Lockoff, Dustin Fowdy, Michael Gray, Ricky Schultz, Eric Beatty, Nana, and Justin. As we know, life changes and we lose contact with those bonds. They are unbreakable. So thanks for all your friendships over the years. We started a new adventure. We bought an old school bus. My dad and brother-in-law Ricky converted it into the cool bus. Every year, twice a year, we park in the infield of Texas Motor Speedway. For 10 years, we made many memories as a family. Josh always took a friend, usually Michael or Josh Lockov. When we went to bed, the boys would go wandering. They would always end up on the party end of the track. Those boys saw things they should have never seen. But by morning, at breakfast, it was always a hoot hearing about their late night adventures. Those memories are priceless now. As Josh was my partner in crime, we got TP'd one night. It didn't take long to figure out who did it. At 8 months pregnant, I taught my kid how TPing was done right. I told Jimmy if I get caught and go to jail, you better not let me deliver this baby in jail. Now we've made it to high school to take firefighting at EOC, thinking this was going to be his career path. He became a volunteer in Nakuma Park. One day the high school told me if he missed one more day, he would not graduate. Well, he finished. He wasn't at school, so I knew where he was. So I drove to the fire station. There was his truck. I opened the door, and there he stood. And y'all know me. He said, "It's on the job training." I said, "No, get in your truck, get to school, and no more school days missed till you graduate." He got in his truck, he drove away, and never looked back. I said, "We have too much invested for you not to graduate. You are going to walk." Fast forward to September 28th of 2014, sorry, 1914. Josh and Mackenzie married. Together they had many happy years of marriage. But as all marriages, they're not without challenges. They lost a baby before Axton and Maggie. And when Axton was born, his life was scary right from the start. I watched Josh juggle his wife at one hospital while his new baby was at another. But watching your child becoming a parent himself made my heart swell with pride. He was a great kid. As we all know, these kids don't come with any kind of owner manual. Axton's now 9 and Maggie is 3. Josh loved building Legos with Axton and teaching him to play Xbox and reading to Maggie. He loved every minute spending time with his kids. Josh had planned on getting Axton a bicycle. The weekend Caleb had surgery. I had to have my car to get Caleb to the hospital, and Josh couldn't get the bike in his car. So Poppy and I have made that happen. He even got to pick it out. Josh would have proved he can now ride a bike. Josh had a passion for duck hunting. He had a black lab named Allie. I remember him showing up to my mom's one Thanksgiving with black face paint and wearing camo. It looked like he stepped off the set of Duck Dynasty. Right out of high school, Josh went to work at Quad Graphics, and we always had a weird connection. This night my phone rang at 1 a.m. and it said Josh was calling. I answered it. All I heard was rustling on the other end of the phone. I figured he butt dialed me. But at 2:15, Mackenzie called and said, "Come get her." They were taking Josh to the burn unit. He had 2nd and 3rd degree burns on both arms and hands, and the right side of his face and neck. His hair was singed and looked like Einstein. When we got to the hospital and we got to the doorway, I froze. He had saved himself in a co-worker that day. Thank God for his fire training. Every Sunday we had family dinners. He loved Mama San's lasagna, roast potatoes and carrots. He was a pea connoisseur, not just any pea, but LaSure peas. Thanks to Grandma Alma, that's all we buy. Josh loved any flavor of popcorn or even gummy bears. He took up the hobby of disc golf. No one knows why. Remember when Pokemon Go was popular? We would load up the car with Caleb, Josh, and Mackenzie, Axton in his car seat. Nanny drove. Now Nanny's gonna have to teach Axton about Pokemon Go. Not long ago, Josh told me I love having breakfast on the weekends with my brother. We're starting a new tradition. I would watch them load up on their motorcycles right off to the Dixie Diner, and together they made their own memories with rides around the lake. A few months ago, I got a phone call. It was Josh. He said, "Mama Son, get up. We have things to do." Again, he was my partner in crime. So off we went. Jimmy's grandparents' house was being torn down, so we went. Lucky for us, it was open. We went in and back out. We did remove the house numbers from the front porch pole. I'm going to miss these adventures with him. Now the branch of our family tree is missing. We will now spend our time making sure to keep Josh's light burning for his kids, so they never forget the father they lost. I promise they will know their daddy, as I will make sure they know how much we love them. Josh would tell me, "I love you like a fat kid loves cake." And I'll make sure Axton and Maggie know that too. Josh's life was so much more than the day he left us. I just wish I had been there to stop it. But know as much as you loved him, he loved you back. We will miss our summer vacations to Texas and summers in Branson and birthdays in Vegas. But every Christmas, we would watch A Christmas Story on repeat all day. I don't know how we'll get through this next Christmas. We'll be missed holidays and birthdays, and we will continue to love him from here. And not a day will pass that I don't think of you, son. Forever in our hearts, and never forgotten. He was not the perfect kid. I mean, he was. He is free of the pain and the heartache he was suffering from. He is in a better place. Happy heavenly birthday, son. Wherever you are right now, I love you like a fat kid loves cake.